Shit Tuesday.
Talk Shit Tuesday.
Talk Shit Tuesday.
Talk Shit Tuesday.
Talk Shit Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Talk Shit Tuesday.
Talk Shit Tuesday.
Oh dear. Just having trouble with the bratty children at home. Oh, it's Simo. Simo's in here, an old chick 67.
Old chick 67.
Old chick 67.
Putting it straight out there.
Yep.
I'm old.
I'm an old chick of the year 67, in fact.
So we'll just get that out of the way and go on to more important matters.
Podcasting. Nick says, hi, Ellen.
G'day, Nicks.
Simo. 75.
I saw Simo on the internet,
Did you?
and that's where this is going.
Internet land.
Mm-hmm.
We're about to podcast, talking shit on Tuesday, on an actual Tuesday.
Yep.
As well. Lined that up pretty
Dead
good.
set.
Dead set choose.
And all I really need to do is play the intro. But you know what? We're already recording, so I'll just put it in later.
75. Oh yeah, are you already recording?
Yeah.
Okay, we're
Yeah.
podcasting right
just doing
now.
it.
We're podcasting
doing it.
right now, 75.
And with the wonder of technology, I'm going to be able to make sure the intro plays first.
Yep.
And then people talk.
Yeah. They won't even know.
But these guys are seeing it for
You
the
guys
first
look like
time.
twins. They reckon we look like twins.
Similar?
Similar, yep. Similar facial preferences.
Wait, I'll put on a beanie as well.
Yeah.
That way it's like even more Sims.
Simo says that Alan looks sexy.
Hmm.
Oh,
Tell you what.
Yep, hang on. There we go.
I gotta say,
I'm Craig David. I'm coming at you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Simo.
yeah.
Just a little
They
song
do
for you,
look
mate.
like twins.
Just a small one.
Beards. So
Just
many beards.
different shades.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
chuck that horizontal,
Look
man.
my beard.
And it'll get like both.
Whoa. Oh, yeah, like this.
Yeah, like,
Yep, double act. Hang on, get the angle. Oh, yeah. Do you know what? We're making 11 people right now do this. We're making them, like, turn their phones around.
Oh! That's
Yeah.
why you're doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you know,
There we go,
first
sideways
time
heart.
periscope.
Which, if I put my mope dialer,
Who's that?
Simo.
Yep.
If
Yep.
it's reverse side, right? But if I go like this, I'm gonna eat the hearts. Well,
They went straight to your stomach. You didn't even have to eat them.
When I watch that back later, that's gonna look great.
Yeah, it will. That'll be 5-star.
Okay.
Michael Bay directed it.
We're gonna podcast now. I'm gonna put this down because it's distracting me.
You can put it down facing you if you
Put
want.
it down facing me.
Yeah,
As a matter of fact,
you
Hang
can
on.
put that there.
we can put that. You can live. Can we live there?
We can live there.
We can live there. That's good.
I can live with that.
Yep.
Yeah. So, things. Where did you want to start?
Good cup of tea.
Mm-hmm. It's always a good start to a good conversation, am I right?
Yeah. I feel like I'm like not qualified to know whether it's a good cup of tea though, because
Mhm.
I never really drink it.
Not a tea connoisseur.
Nah.
Hmm. It's interesting, there's less tea connoisseurs than there are coffee connoisseurs or wannabe connoisseurs.
Because everybody's a coffee connoisseur.
Everybody knows what's good coffee.
Yeah, yeah. You can tell by the logo of the place you're getting it from, I think.
I think there's a lot of good coffee. Like,
Mm.
there's not just one or two places. Like, most of the coffee is good. Even some of the instant stuff, because it's, like, tastes heaps better than just drinking water from the river.
Yeah.
Like, it's all tasty.
Yeah. But
Just better than others sometimes.
everyone, at least at one point in their life, will come to a crossroads. Well, not a crossroads, but they'll become aware of a decision that they never, ever intentionally like thought they would plan to like set out and make. But one day, you know, for whatever reason, they duck into a coffee shop that's not like a Starbucks or a Gloria Jeans or something like that,
Mhm.
and get a cup of coffee, and then walk out and go, you know what, that's That's real coffee there. That's going to be my place from now on. I've made that decision. But I've since discovered that was probably really like superficial thing to get excited about, and like I haven't been back there. Yeah, I don't go there.
Yeah, it's this interesting thing people have about equating a certain experience they had with that product then being good forever. So like, say you go to a coffee shop and you have a good coffee there and it's a nice day and you see a pretty girl or something, or whatever floats your boat, makes you feel happy, and it all coalesces and it was the first time you were there, you're going to be like, I want that feeling again, man.
Yeah.
So you get the feeling by drinking the thing that you were drinking at the time, and your memory probably goes, that's the same.
Yeah. Or maybe it doesn't even have to be that good. Maybe like it can be like on a more of a like metaphorical level, in that like maybe the reason that I really enjoyed that coffee that day was because I was on my way in the cold to a job I really didn't like doing at the time.
Yeah.
So it's actually just like probably like a not very like, on the scale of things, significant experience, but just, because of the mundanity of that day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally get it. And mundanity is a really good word.
I know. I gotta apologize now that what I do is I tell heaps of long stories, but I forget like what the point is sometimes, and I also like extend words in ways that like I don't know if they're actually factual or
further
exist.
emphasis. Like mundane is one thing, but having mundanity, it's like having get up,
The mundanity, yeah.
Speaking
as
of,
soon as I said mundanity, I could just see Paul in my head going,
yeah.
and I'm also going to like reference friends that like people that will listen to this may potentially have never met, and be like, who's Paul?
Exactly. But let's keep it in mind that there's more likelihood that only those people who know those people are going to listen to it.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about, you mentioned jobs before and going to a job you don't like. Something we've both done is leave jobs when we didn't really have a plan, or there wasn't, we just went, no more.
Yeah.
And I remember you did it a bit earlier in life, and I've been doing it more recently in life. But I wondered, do you have any good stories of how those things, those decisions, first of all, how they felt and what got you to that point, and then how it played out once you'd made it?
Well, I kind of discovered pretty quickly. I don't know, like, it wasn't an instant thing, because I remember my first job when I was a kid. I think when I was about 13 or 14, I got a job at Hungry Jack's, or Burger King to anyone else from other countries. And I stuck at that for like a good couple of years or so. Like, that was my first job, so I hadn't actually developed this habit of like leaving employment. Mind you, when I started working there, I think I did one Saturday a week for like months, and never like any long shifts or like late shifts or anything like that. And then one day, I think after about 2.5 years or so of working there, I just decided, like, almost as though in the same way that a kid goes like, I don't want to do karate class anymore. Like, I've had a go at karate, and it's not for me. I can see the benefits in it. I can see the benefits in doing karate, but I just, it's not something that I think I want to do anymore. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to cease this activity.
And as a kid, you could do that really easy.
Yeah. You could easily justify, like, well, I don't want to do that, so
put it down and walk off.
That's the end of that.
And if anyone has a go at you for it, you just tantrum at them and they go, whoa.
Yeah. So I think that was the start of it. I think that's how it started for me. So I then also was really, really indecisive, as kids are. Like, you know what? Maybe I just watched the second season of Power Rangers, and I'm thinking karate's pretty cool again. Actually, I wouldn't mind. Maybe what I need to do is join a different karate club.
It's all Sensei's fault.
Yeah, I need to go to one of those karate clubs that have like cooler color uniforms.
And like more Mr. Miyagi's.
Yeah. It's got to be like authentic.
It's got to be a movie. Like your life becomes a movie.
Yeah.
Like the Karate Kid by learning it.
Yeah. Like it can't just be like a class like at the local like horrible hall that's being run by like the school janitor
And
who like
the-
is a black belt like on the side.
And the last event is still moving out, which was seniors night or something, or like how to cut lilacs or something, and
Yeah.
you're just not in the vibe. No, we're going to turn this into a dojo.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work
Yeah.
quite as well.
Oh, I just had like weird delay. That's cool.
Hmm.
Does yours sound weird for a sec then?
Let's see. No, he's all right.
Yeah. No,
He's alright.
she's all right. She's all right. Yeah. No, I just turned my mic down a bit because I think it was a bit. I think I was
Getting a bit
overpowering.
excited?
Yeah,
Mhm.
getting a bit excited. That's better. I can hear you better now as well.
Oh, good.
actually, as a result.
Bit of balance.
Yes, balance.
It's all meeting in the middle.
Looking for balance.
Speaking of which, balance. What a concept, hey?
Hard to achieve.
Trying to balance work and life.
I've heard it's out there.
I'm sure there's a product that could fix it for us. Try
Try-
work balance. Life in balance with work.
Wild for men.
Yeah.
Yeah. So quitting jobs.
Yeah.
Something. Probably a profession of mine. Quitting jobs.
How many
go
would you
as far
say
as
you've
that.
quit?
How many have I quit? I've only been fired from one job.
Right.
All the other jobs I've quit.
You've had a few.
Yeah, right now, and even this like thought is vain in itself. But
Mhm.
right now, I'm forgot what I was talking about.
I had a question actually. That like the reason
I did say I was going to do that.
Yeah,
that I would
yeah.
forget what I was talking
That's
about.
alright, man.
Yeah.
It happens. The reason I'm asking is because like I used to think that like it takes so much courage to see someone do that. It's kind of like the same courage that it takes to do really good, if that makes sense. So let's say like you're in a job and you're slogging it out for 2 years and you're doing your hardest work, even though it's tough and whatever. Like that's a really good thing to do. That should be commended. But to stay in a job where you're not treated well and it sucks to be there and it's making you feel really shitty all the time, it's actually really stupid to stay because, you're going to be worse off and then that'll make you work worse off.
Is that not by description some form of poison? Like that's poisoning.
Torture.
Yeah.
You're just putting yourself in the same... Like, it's like you're mentally putting yourself into spikes every day and
Yeah.
you're just doing that voluntarily.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
can't
like
see it.
it's always like funny to think of it on both sides of the coin though, because I like fully agree with what you just said, but I also like can almost like say that it's almost like the equivalent of developing a way to say I can't have a job because it's like it's a disease for me.
I'm allergic to jobs.
I'm allergic to working. I'm allergic to things I don't like much.
Isn't that what... Isn't that what people do, though, when they say they've got, they're in a job centre? I don't know if I'm being controversial now. It doesn't really matter.
Nah.
They're just words. But, and you could do something, but you bring something up to say, well, actually, I've got a lot wrong with me, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Probably do it if I try, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, I don't even know if that relates to what you were saying, but it just popped into my head.
I think it does because can you literally say, like, I just could not do that anymore? And I think anybody that's experienced that type of...
Yeah, gets them fearful for the next time, maybe.
Yeah,
So they don't want to work again.
Yeah.
But, like, there's courage in doing something that is kind of, like, on the surface, like, silly. But there's also, it's like there's this, for me, for a while there, it's like there was this line that was like a, full-time work and, not liking it and whatnot. And then on the peripheries, I saw these kind of, this is going to sound really strange, but like Buddhas and people like the Krishna here, just saying, come this way's better, it's easier. And they like show you that you can have shoes and this and that, but you probably can't have the big TV.
Yeah.
So they're just like, it's too expensive.
Yeah.
You're not working now, but it does. And then there's other chests they'll bring and they'll open up and it's like, oh, having a day without stress or, spending time with someone you really care about.
Yeah.
And these are things you can't buy.
Yeah.
So you don't need the money for them, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And, you need to balance. So you need to say, I want that freedom and the ability to experience all these gifts that, pretend in my mind deities are saying come and have a go of. Come and see if you like it. Like, if it's not your thing, just go straight back to, slogging your guts out and being upset all the time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, without that, if you just do that, you become a couch surfing hippie, and eventually everyone just goes, every time he's here, he just eats our food. And, he'll leave maybe he drew something and left it on the table and just my gift to you for your hospitality.
Always leaves a Farmers Union iced coffee carton on the table when he goes home.
And it's the one we bought him. So yeah, and you need to I've found my thing recently from having not been working as much is I'll be out and I've got so many nice friends that will say, oh yeah man, we'll get you in, or I'll buy you that or whatever, and they'll knowing or not knowing, because I've told them or not, that I don't have much money that day.
Yeah.
Something simple like, oh, we'll go and get coffee, or we'll go and get a beer or whatever. There's days where I'm like, I have enough money to get back where I sleep, and that's it. But then people go, oh, no, it's all right. And one of my mates even said, I'll just buy you drinks all night, man, because I just like hanging out and we have a good time and stuff.
Yeah. Have you ever when you've been, you're out in town or something, and you literally only had enough money to get the last train back, or and so either you've spent that money or you've missed the last train back. What happens then?
For me, I'd just go away from the city. Like, I don't want to be around people that might, I would make a plan to dig in. I wouldn't call anyone to say, come and get me. It would just be like, oh, I'll just figure this out.
Yeah.
Because I think there's something about roaming around by yourself, especially when you're around nature and there's potential predators around and not many people. I just get this feeling of I'm gonna, I'll be fine. I'll figure it out. There's no panic.
A sense of freedom in a way.
Yeah, it is, and I'm kind of enticed by it in a way. Like if you get lost where you go camping or something, you'll go walking and then try to get back and you get lost. Yeah, there's something exciting about that.
And on the one hand, you can go oh, well, it was your combination of choices that got you into that situation, right? Which I guess to a degree is, if you're in a situation like that, it is true. You're oh, well, you should have got that last train, or you should have kept that $3.20 to get the train ticket or whatever. And okay, yeah, that's all fair enough. But when you think about the actual concept of what's happening there, because you don't have $3.20 or any money on a card, so you can't call a taxi and just go okay, well, I missed the last train. That would have been a cheaper way to get home. Now I'm just going to have to get a taxi because I actually live 45 minutes from here and I'm going to need to get there because it's nighttime and I've got nowhere else to go except home, right? The only thing stopping you from being able to get there, because all the resources exist, there are taxi drivers, there's transportation available to us 24 hours a day, right? That you can call and summon to come and help you out. The only reason you can't access that is because you don't have money.
Yeah.
So not having money, actually, all it does is void you of having choice. Money allows you choices. Yeah.
And you know what's funny about? I had a few thoughts there, but this was the most recent. When you're in a bar and people get to the point where they're that drunk that they just leave money on the floor, or buy heaps of people drinks, or just go, oh, it doesn't matter, because they just want the moment to keep going. Yeah. It's it's so pointless then, because people are back to being tribal people who, sit around and go, do we have enough food? Do we have a place to stay? Are they women or are they men? Or whatever that instinctual thing is. Yeah, it's good. We're good, kind of thing. And it's just weird. Sometimes it feels like, this is going to sound trippy too, maybe in a past life, I was someone who, was just able to live easy, not easy, but natural, and have no need to, you're part of something that if you need to figure yourself out or become an artist or something, the tribe supports you rather than says, oh, well, you dreaming, you're wasting your time.
You live in like in a tribal sort of like that's based on some sort of society that like supports the idea of allowing people to discover who they are naturally and go through some sort of
And you'd have to contribute.
Sort of ritualistic process or something to discover what they're supposed, like, you know, like you were like destined to be, you know, the grain farmer or whatever, you know, because you have all of those, you know, that integrity that need to service, that need to provide for your community, that sort of stuff. And so, you know, they support like who people are naturally going to be.
Yeah, and like use your tendencies. So, you know, you might have something that you do naturally, like you were saying, and easily. Like you love baking, or you love, you know, building stuff, like you said. And then if you're someone who is maybe a little bit more introverted, a little bit more unsure, a bit searchy, philosophical, artistic, whatever, that has value as well. But I don't think you would be literally ignored and like not given food. Yeah. You would still be supported, more than likely, because you would contribute in other ways. You know, you're another fighting force if you get attacked, or you're another, you know, you probably hunt or whatever it is. Yeah. There'd be practical things, but then there'd be the things on top of that. And yeah, it's just weird that like people aren't considered. I don't know if that actually makes sense to say that after that, but like I was trying to relate, how you could be, when you know people, you're part of that group, even if it's for a night or something. Yeah. That's why people who have like, you know, oh, it's not what you know, it's who you know with jobs, because if it's a family friend, you'll just go, oh yeah, you know, we'll get you through, we'll just give you a job. Yeah. So yeah. Which is totally how it happens. Oh yeah. Yeah. And it sort of relates in a way to this Syrian thing that's been getting me down lately, like seeing the kid and whatnot. It's it just makes me think, like, if that was someone's child who you knew, or was your own child, you don't care about politics and stuff at that point. You're just like, yeah, it goes beyond all of those ideologies, and it's people who can stand back from something and talk about it, you know, as a, and justify it. It's just like, what? Yeah. Because if you were in that situation, even watching it, I bet you would change your mind. You know, I bet you'd go, oh shit, I was wrong. Yeah. You would hope so. Well, yeah, because the thing, like, the reason people are able to just kind of, like, shrug it off and whatever is because it's usually just all, like, information. It's not visuals. You don't have to see it, you know, you don't, like, so like, you know, for lack of a better term, the boat people, right? Because we don't literally see them, like, running and screaming and, like, gathering their children and getting their shit and, like, fucking, like, where's the fucking passport? Where'd you put the fucking passport? We're gonna need that, and all that shit. And, you know, like, running from their houses, and there's, like, fucking gunfire going off, and they're, like, jumping in the back of a fucking ute and screeching off, and the kids are freaking out and whatever, and blah, blah, blah. Like, because you don't see all that. You just, like, and no one, you don't, like, from any of your main sources of, like, information, like, the main sources of information that generally, as a society in general, gets most of their information from. They're not talking about that stuff. That's not even, like, in question at all. It's not even up for consideration. It's not what they're talking about. They're literally only talking about when they arrive on foreign shores, right? So it's like, I think that's where the mentality comes from, where people are able to just go like, oh well, you know, because, like, you can't just I can't just fucking come into your house and start eating your shit and sleep in your bed, you know, like, we've got to, you know, we've all got to, you know, keep our own, we want to need our own personal space for safety and whatever and blah, 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 you know, there's, you know, they can't just come here, there needs to be a process in place so that, you know, only good and just and useful people can come in. True blue Aussies can get in. Yeah. Whereas, like, I saw a post that you did recently where you were talking about, like, you know, surely if any of these people were put, like, any of these people that are saying, like, oh, they shouldn't bloody come here, then, you know, they shouldn't, like, you know, wow, what are they going to do, like, if they want to decide they want to go back home again, we're going to pay for that too, are we? Or, you know,
heaps like lost my train of
But
thought.
can you imagine how thankful those people would be? Imagine if you went through all that in a ute and you like saw someone you know die and all this horrible stuff, and you get to the country, you'd be like on your knees for the government, just like you guys saved my life. That person's not going to work hard in your country. Like some of the best people I've worked with have been of other races and stuff. I used to work with an Iranian guy, and he was a dentist in Iran, and made as much as somewhat like a labourer would here or something. It was a really small amount. And then I worked with him in this job he was making even less compared, but the standard of living was so much easier here, and he was just like, I'm just really happy. And he worked harder than anyone I knew.
Gotta come back. Keep going.
Yeah, because he like basically would always say how much better his life was, and and he was really thankful, and he was like, this government's really good, I love your government because they're heaps better than the ones I had. So it's a dumb thing, like that maybe they will go back to their home country. Like imagine if it was us. I tried to think about this. Imagine if Adelaide was getting bombed and had been for a while, and we had to flee to Tasmania, and we're literally in a movie then. It's crazy, right? It's all happening. And then, in this situation, like, say we have to go from Tasmania to New Zealand, it's a whole new country, and they're saying, oh, we're not going to let you do that. But, like, it wasn't your fault necessarily that Adelaide got bombed, and we're all just human beings, and it's kind of like, it's this weird thing where, because, yes, there are terrorists there, I'm sure of that, not everybody is, and it's not a lot of people's fault that there's a lot of people like that in their area, kind of thing. It's like if a bunch of terrorists moved into Adelaide or the south, and went, that's where they are now, so that's part of getting bombed, and you're like, I was here as well. Come on.
That's got nothing to do with you. Apart from the fact that you're near it, it's got nothing to do with you that that's happening around you. That doesn't paint you automatically with the same brush. But some people are really general, and some people will think things are racial, like, because they're of the same race, they will therefore perpetuate the same things other people in their race do. Which isn't the case, you know what I mean? And anyone on this planet, if put in that situation where they had to flee flee where they were born, flee where their culture is, where their family is, where all their memories are, where where they thought their future was, having to all of a sudden like flee from that. If anyone in the world, whether you are first world, third world, doesn't matter, anybody in that situation would feel the privilege of being able to expect salvation from another human being. When you're in that situation, like, it doesn't matter, like, you don't care, like, you don't care about your religion or any of that sort of stuff or whatever, or really care about who's helping you. Like, you just you're
the lines get blurred completely.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I find happens when you're out and about or you're traveling or something. You just see another human being and you go, ooh. And I don't know if this is a good example or not, but it was rattling around in my head. I remember when I was younger, because I was kind of, younger and had different opinions, didn't know what to think, and had different influences and stuff. And I'd never had any conversations with a lot of people of certain races. So I was slightly, probably like wary, not fearful. And then interacting with other people as I got older, I just remember going, wow, like, it's so interesting to explore other cultures and be exposed to that. It's so... I feel privileged if I'm in a group of people that's not like me, because they're all exciting and interesting and strange. In a good way, And it's like... But the example I was going to say was I watched this TV program about someone who was Asian looking but had been brought up in Australia, and they sounded exactly like us.
Yeah, if you heard them on the radio, you wouldn't have known that they had Asian.
Even their mannerisms and stuff, and the cultural references they made, and it was the same.
Yeah.
So it made me think: is it that people are, a combination of genetics from physical things, but they're also this experience they've been through. So, if someone who looks Asian can act exactly like an Aussie who's not supposed to have that look, does that mean an Aussie would be able to integrate culturally into an Asian society if he was treated exactly like that?
Okay.
Like he wasn't different.
Yeah.
You know,
Like if okay, yeah, so like
fundamentally being all human beings are the same.
Yeah.
They just look different.
like I've had friends that are of Asian descent, but don't have but have an accent that is just like anybody else born in Australia. And I think that's like not from they would have adapted that from like TV, going to school, and and sort of just absorbed it from their environment, right?
Yeah.
So I think it would be perfectly reasonable to think that if a Australian family went and moved to Indonesia, and their kid, they had a white child in Indonesia, and then they sent their white child not to like an international school where all expatriates send their children. So even though you're in an Indonesian country, you go to a English speaking school with English speaking teachers, right? So if instead of doing that, you're like, nope, I'm going to send them I want them to learn the local language, and I'm going to send them to a school, a non-English speaking school, that it would be perfectly reasonable to expect that they would grow up speaking authentically, speaking that language authentically.
They would. I'm sure they would.
Yeah.
And even coming down to the way one would act as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a kid, you could look in a mirror and say, I look different to my parents, and wonder what that's about. But if somehow you weren't, that wasn't an issue. It reminds me of something Joe Rogan said once in one of his podcasts, that he started imagining everyone was the same person but had different experiences and different genetics. And it got me thinking about that concept, and how when you're around people a lot, I just forget where they're from. It doesn't even factor into my mind. It's just their, dare I say, energy comes through.
It's not even something you really consider.
No, same with male female. I just go, I'm just this person's being funny.
Yeah.
This person is being funny. That's all it needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's I didn't realize we'd get on to racial comments and stuff. I mean, it's kind of controversial sometimes.
Prevalent in our country at the moment.
But it is, and I mean, I just think if people could hang out with, like, if people who feel that way about other people could hang out with them or get to know them, which is hard when you don't speak the same language sometimes.
Yeah.
But even just have a meal, like just the sharing of something.
Yeah, what it is it's like awareness and understanding and empathy, right? So you would think that unless there was something fundamentally wrong genetically or mentally with a person, probably not genetically, but mentally, if there was some sort of like, some sort of mental blockage of some sort, something that is completely, unaffected by experience, right? It's just a preset thing, which I imagine would be a possibility.
Yeah, maybe.
You would think that if somebody, like, the whole concept of like, walk a day in another man's shoes and that sort of thing. So if, like, say some of the people that are so like, afraid by, like, foreigners or anything that's foreign or anything that challenges their beliefs or is different to their culture, or just different in general. Some people just can't deal with different at all. So you would imagine that in it, like, unless there was something fundamentally wrong with somebody mentally, that by experiencing a type of trauma or something, that a different class of, not class, but a different either minority of individual, or not even minority, because there are a whole massive culture and population and whatever, so they're not I guess they're not, minority is not the right word, but for them to be able to, like, experience the life of somebody that they're judging and saying, like, they just shouldn't be coming here, if they experience the trauma and stuff that that this call to action together that made them decide to gather all their stuff and their kids and leave and whatever. If they actually knew what that felt like, that you would think they would probably change their mind and go, you know what, like, they're a person, I'm a person. I don't know what I would do in a situation like that. Like, you know, they deserve help and respect. They just do.
They just
do.
It's not their fault.
Yeah.
You know, maybe there is some risk of some of the people being naughty people.
Yeah. So,
but is that
so
there's a risk all the time?
Yeah. Like apart from so like I've forgotten where I was. I've like realigned with my main train of thought.
All right.
Yeah.
You're back in the matrix.
I'm back in. Yeah. I'm getting the feed again. The feed is coming back.
Yeah.
You know, like someone like just
plugged you in.
The power went off.
Yeah. But they had a redundancy, but it didn't let you still experience the matrix.
Yeah. I haven't paid the bill.
But you still died.
Yeah.
You still didn't die.
No, I pressed continue. But like I have to I almost had to go, you know, like you can't continue from the exact like checkpoint, or like there's not a checkpoint.
Yeah, you went a little bit further than the checkpoint and killed a few dudes, but now you're back at the checkpoint.
Yeah, I gotta kill those dudes again.
Gotta kill them again.
Fuck. Okay. Yeah, so so unless there was something fundamentally wrong with somebody mentally to stop them from being able to access empathy, I think, and I think empathy is like just something that everybody is born with. Just, you know, some people just don't use that muscle enough, right? Or
Well, they don't need to because of their lifestyle.
Yeah. They've never had to really like, you know, experience any type of sort of loss or you know, like, you know, being not able to make whatever choice they want whenever it suits them. You know,
which we know by looking at spoiled children that it just makes for demons. Like it makes for these.
It's such an easy thing to develop.
Yeah. I mean, and it's it makes sense. Like I even think I went through it to a small degree when I used to live at home, and I'd get away with doing a little bit of housework, but I'd still be able to for many months have what I wanted and have the time and also not have to do much. And it's kind of like I think that relates to what you were saying. But I think we'll change track a bit. But I was going to say, you remember what you were talking about staying out and you've spent all your money?
Yeah.
One benefit of that is you might have to stay up all night and you're too paranoid to sleep in a park or something, so you walk around and you see the sunset at 6 a.m. and you're in some weird place you've never been before. There's like a industrial shelter over there, and then you can see ducks and stuff, or it's just like really nice.
Someone's mowing the lawn. You know, it's like all the flavors of home, meaning that you're having a new experience because home is the moment. Yeah, your brain is fully active at that point because none of it is comfortable. Yeah, none of it is familiar. Yeah, you're on your toes a bit, but it feels good. That's an authentic experience. Yeah, it's a story you'll tell. One time I didn't have any money left, so I walked around for 5 hours. Yeah, and a duck tried to attack me, or this swan sounded like it was choking while it was breathing at night or something. Yeah. You see something you wouldn't normally see. Yeah. Or you see something really cool, like a rat come out and like. Yeah. It's something, because I find that. Did anybody else see that? Oh, that was wicked. That was real nature, Yeah. Yeah, I remember sitting out there sometimes, and there'll be a rustle, and you'll look up, and there's a possum just chilling, and he thinks he can't see me. And when I'll sometimes look at them, they'll stop. And it's just really, there's like, when you're available for those moments, it's cool. But some people would go, oh, there's possums on the roof and they make noise. Kill them. I wish we could kill them and get rid of them, but it's against the law, Yeah. They make a real mess of my garden. They do. I have a balcony and they leave little nuggets all over it all day, the bastards. And there's no way you can get rid of it. Plugged up my gutters. Yeah. Made me do one more thing in the year. But if you look at it and go, wow, that's nature. That's like a thing. That's life doing happening around me. Yeah. Yeah. And that life, goes off and has completely no idea or concept of any of the formalities that I have to go
because there's no rules and forms and stuff when you're normal nature. Yeah. That's why I think a lot of people lose their shit and just end up getting cans for money. Yeah. Because they're kind of like, I just can't do all the bullshit. I cannot do anything other than what I want to do right now. And they might be hungry but frustrated because they can't buy food. Yeah. And it's like, because
Yeah.
they see food like
So are they mad? Is there something wrong with them that's forcing them to live on the streets, or are they living on the streets because they just get it?
Yeah, I spoke to a guy actually. He was selling the Big Issue, and I didn't have enough money. But he's saying, "Will anyone just talk to me?" And I was like, "I'll talk to you, mate. I'm waiting for a friend. You know, I've got 5 minutes." And he's like, "Oh, good, yeah." And he tried to sell me the Big Issue, and I said, "I don't have any money." And he said, "Oh, it's all right, it's all right. You know, I've been on the streets for a while, and you know, you get pretty paranoid, pretty fucking paranoid on the streets. Yeah, I always thought I was gonna get fucking mugged or like, you know, run over or something." And I was like, "Oh yeah, cool." And he had these big eyes. But then he said, "Yeah," and then he didn't sound like a bogan. But he said this Vietnam vet he used to hang out with, and I guess shack it with as homeless people. I don't know, they sleep together for safety, I'm not sure. But he knew him. And this guy had said to him, "Well, you got to get over dying." And he's like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" He's like, "You got to get over the idea of dying and the way it's making you afraid all the time because you're not actually living." And this Vietnam vet related that he used to sleep on the front lines near where the bunkers were and stuff in Vietnam. It's like really close to where bombs were getting dropped. And all night you'd hear it. But they knew they had to go out and patrol the next day and work, you know, possibly get killed. And they knew that if they got sleep, they'd feel better.
Yeah.
And be able to fight better.
Yeah.
And so this guy had said, you know, if I'm able to get over the fear and the paranoia of sleeping next to a front line, you can get over the fear of sleeping on the street. And the guy was like, you know, I felt he's better recently, and, you know, as a result of that. And I was like, do things feel, you know, better? Is it easier? Is it better? He's like, yeah. We had this discussion, and yeah, I just left him. But I found that really interesting.
Was the guy that gave him the advice about getting over his fear of dying a homeless vet?
Yeah, Vietnam vet.
Right, yeah.
Who he'd like live with for a bit or hang out with for a bit or whatever. And I thought about it a lot. And it's like, it got me thinking, just on the topic of homeless people or people who beg. When I was in Melbourne and I had very little money because I was touring, like I got to the point where I had 80 cents for the rest of the day, and there was next day I was getting money.
Yep.
So, or it was like $2.50 or something like that.
And you're totally like convincing yourself that you're okay with the idea that like, well, I might not be able to eat anything like until
it's only
like,
one day, I won't die.
Yeah.
Or settling for something really bad.
That's a really weird situation to be in, but like one that like I'm familiar with. Like the idea of like, even though you've traveled so far from your home, right? Like, and you got to ride there and you've got to ride back, but you've got no money. So like either way, whether you have like no money at all and you just ride this experience out and and spend no money, meaning that like unless someone offers you water, like you won't be able to like drink anything or eat anything or whatever, and you've probably got somewhere to stay, and you'll get home, but you've got no money, so you just have to like get through that experience. That is like just a really weird kind of like limbo to exist in. Like that's when you like. Yeah, like
you're at the mercy of humanity.
Your brain goes to different extremes in that scenario because you're actually still like you're gonna be all right. Yeah, you're gonna be okay. You got no money. You're in Melbourne. You don't live in Melbourne. No. You'll get home in like 2 days.
It'll be alright. I'll figure it out.
No money.
Got a place to sleep, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'll die. I was gonna say when that actually happened to me, and I'd bought, you know, like a kid's roll at a bakery or something, and a, you know, can of tuna and a roll or something, and that would facilitate $2.50. Yeah. And I remember I had like 40 cents, and I saw this guy I'd walked past earlier in the day, you know, with his hat out, and I thought, he's only got about $1.50 in there. If I give him 30 cents, he might be able to get, you know, something. Or if someone else gives him $1, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, I've just been through that experience. I'm going to the shops with a small amount of money, and I'm seeing, and I can smell the food. Yeah. I can smell like burger joints and bakeries. And, I want all the pies. I wanted to get 3 pies. I was that hungry, and I'd been, you know, drumming and stuff, so I would have, you know, devoured it. Yeah. And it's like, can't have it. Not allowed. Not enough money, mate.
Even though it's right there.
It's right there. You can take it.
Even though some of it's going to get thrown away.
Oh, dude, the bakery sections in places. Yeah, a lot of it.
Oh, yeah. And some of them are like, they're like like by principle, they're like, oh, we can't give them to homeless people.
Yeah, no. That would invite... Or, like, people who put on specials at the end of the day and then wait... Some people wait to the end of the day. They'll just like, well, everyone will be here at the end of the day and just get it for free, wouldn't they?
You know what's fucked up, though, right? You know what's fucked up is that, like... it's fucked up that, like, we live in a world, right? In a kind of society where, like, you really actually couldn't, in this day and age... Like, you know, some people say things like, oh, you know, like, we can't like donate food that's past its use by date, or, you know, past the recommended, like, you know, we're not supposed to, it's not recommended that we sell it at this of this quality, you know, like it's this donut's been in the display case for 12 hours, like, it's like, you know, it's hygienically fine, but, you know, we wouldn't sell this one because it's not the quality of what we would sell, right? So then you would don't, like, you know, but we can't donate it to somebody homeless because it'd be offensive.
Yeah, like, yeah, they think that
offensive to give them food that's not good enough.
They think
for
that,
consumption
like,
for other people.
They think that that's gonna matter to someone who's starving.
Yeah, you know,
this coffee isn't good enough.
Do
like,
you remember that from Seinfeld when the people like got heaps upset because they had the muffin top store?
Yeah.
And they're like, they're literally making muffins, and I don't know why they would like you. Surely, right? This is bad writing, Seinfeld. Like, amazing, brilliant plot, right? That's like poor writing. Like, this is back in a time where in TV you could be like, just because, you know? But like, I'm positive that you could make the top of a muffin without having to make the bottom of a muffin. Like, but okay, for whatever reason they decided that they were going to make whole muffins. No business is going to make a product that requires them to throw 50% of every product they've made away. No one's doing that, bro.
That ain't happening.
Yeah.
You explained that in like 6 or 7 different ways. It was awesome. Be real.
Whoa. But yeah, we
Be
literally...
awake. For fuck's sake. Can you make sound?
Shit.
That's us from earlier.
Yeah.
Hey, you.
Yeah,
What do
you just wait.
you reckon? What do you reckon about this on a Tuesday?
That's you. Okay, we have level.
Oh, the best part is that it was recording itself.
Yeah, so even though it killed it, it's gonna be on
It's
there.
gonna be on the track. That's cool. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Well, that was a bit freaky because it was only in my right ear, so it was like it was actually coming from the computer screen.
Yeah. It literally gave me the illusion of feeling like it came from a different part of the room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh man. But yeah, that's the fucked up thing, right? Is that you couldn't give away, you couldn't like officially go out and hand food like the end of day donuts to homeless people because that's offensive, right? Oh man. And the best part is that I bet you if they would just chanced it and did it, right? If for whatever freak reason a homeless person got sick because they were donated food that wasn't fit for consumption and it made them sick, that homeless person would be able to sue someone for their generosity. Like I have no, I wouldn't.
It's literally insane.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
And what if they
At
did
all.
do it? If they started doing it and like a homeless person got such a good donut from somewhere, he's like, this is the best donut I've ever fucking had. And he actually loved it so much that he wanted it every day.
Yeah.
And he just got a job so he could buy it. Because, like, you know, it's almost like as a customer base that could be a customer base.
Yeah.
And they would remember
Not
that
impossible.
that donut changed their life.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, there are people that
good
have that. There are successful people that I'm sure at some point in their lives have lived on the street.
Or at least been out of money, couch surfing or something.
Yeah.
It's like, man, but can you imagine that? Can you imagine being someone who's down and out, dirty, homeless, for whatever reason, your fault, not your fault, doesn't matter. You're just there.
Sometimes I've fantasized about the idea of it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
As in, like, to just experience it?
Yeah, like,
Right.
oh, that would be like the ultimate fucking, like, just experience to just literally just disappear and like no one would and not tell anyone where you're going and just like you got no idea like if you're gonna, where you're gonna sleep, what you're gonna do, Like,
How gutsy, really.
yeah.
Like, how gutsy to either make that decision or
But people
have
do it.
survived by,
People
Yeah.
do it, man.
Mhm.
There's I can't remember if there's a term. I'm sure there is some sort of phobia, name for it.
Mm.
But there are people that have like millions of dollars in the bank, but they've got this phobia of spending all their money, so they go and
Yeah.
live on the street because they're too scared to spend any money because they think if they spend money
Yeah.
that they might like lose it all.
They've been, like, duped by the illusion.
Yeah, but how
It's
crazy
like-
is that as a phobia? Because
Yeah.
not having any money, as we said previously, like voids you of having any choices. You can't choose to drive somewhere because you can't afford petrol. You don't have a car. You don't, like whatever, or you can't like call up a taxi. You don't have a phone. You don't like. You just don't. Money just won't allow you to have things to exist within the society you live around, right?
Mm.
So your fear of losing all your money, having a phobia of losing all your money, you would think would be based around the idea of being afraid of not being able to have things or support yourself or
Mm.
be able to afford to, keep the lights on in your house or food to eat or clothes to wear when even if you lived until your clothes worn out, you only bought new ones when they're worn out or whatever. So then what they'll do is then go and live the life that they would live if they had lost all their money
Yeah.
in a means to protect all their money.
Yeah. It's like they're scared.
What motivates that kind of phobia? Like, what is the?
I reckon.
What kind of like their version of logic do they go through?
Think about this. Like, if you're convinced as a kid and as you grow up that, like, having money is more important than having air or having water, if you're indoctrinated with that, and you get to a point where you think it's so precious, you put it above your health, your safety, your hygiene, your ability to sleep. Like, you're just so concerned that you're partially insane, maybe.
Does that make money some form of religion? Is it?
It's I think it's just this thing that everyone's cast under its spell, in the sense that we.
Yeah, but like literally a spell that somebody created.
Yep.
That a
magic
handful of
trick.
people created.
Money's a
and
magic
have
trick.
cast it over the entire world. Like the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, like that whole tribe.
Mhm.
Like they literally invented this concept that controls all basically society based possibility.
Mhm.
That's insane.
Isn't it crazy?
It's ridiculous.
It's
Why don't we just tell them to stop it?
it's like,
There's heaps more of us.
yeah, it's just the thing is, imagine if everyone got up and, like, say, I'm thinking a president or someone in power says, we're gonna go and do this, and then
We're gonna go and do this.
we're gonna go and take these people out because they're not the nice kind of sorts, and let's just say all the soldiers under their control, well, the whole structure of control underneath that.
Yeah. It takes a certain kind of person to allow a bully to continue to play in the sandpit.
Yeah, just like that.
Oh, I'm really sorry, man.
No, it's good. It's good. I was just gonna say, like, no. All right. So I wanted to ask a question about that. Well, there's a okay, that kind of relates to it. So, are we truly different? And if so, what makes us different to people that think that way? And in the same sense, like, if you've got no money and you're looking at someone with money and you sort of envision them, oh, that's, a celebrity, or you know them from something, you've seen them do stuff. They're more worth than me, or like it's covered on the news that so and so loses their child.
Do you know what I think people actually think? I think they legitimately go, that person's life has more meaning than mine.
Yeah, more
They live
worth.
a more meaningful life than I do.
That's weird.
Which is like bullshit.
Total. And it's like basically really interesting to realize that. I think having some time by yourself helps, and walking around in lots of different types of circumstances, like looking really good or looking really bad in similar circumstances. So you're going out to town looking dodgy, and you get a result, and you go out looking really good, and you get a result, and you walk around a suburb that's got a lot of money, you get a certain feeling. You walk around Christie's Downs or whatever, and you get a certain feeling. Yeah.
Just walking around.
Who has a gold-plated fucking thing, man?
Hey, man.
Like,
Sick
it's
as.
gold. I just got
that
the
mine?
silver. Yeah, it's
That's
yours.
mine, yeah.
That's
Of
awesome.
course it's gold.
It's like bronze, silver, gold, and they just all, work.
What did I say? Who has a gold thing like that? What did I say at Spice's Bucks night? Something was like, sure, of course Shaun gets the in the best chair to because he was getting that private dance, right?
Yeah.
And I turn around and go, it's because it's just fucking sick things fucking happen to me and they always fucking have.
Yeah. I remember that. In a weird way, I had a thought when you said that, in the sense that, say you're a musician.
I am.
You are. We're both musicians.
Yeah.
Say you're a musician who starts and it all just goes right. You just keep making music. You're doing something really cool that you like doing. And so people come around and say, all right, well, we're going to get you to do more of it and have more money and a better lifestyle. You've just hacked it. You've just hacked life. You don't... I'm not saying that is going to happen to many people.
Yeah.
But you've just figured out how to literally get something for nothing.
Yeah.
Sing for your supper.
You're experiencing life in God mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've had glimpses of that in a very tiny sense. In the sense that, you play a gig and you get a rider.
Mm-hmm.
You say, I'm doing something I love,
Mm-hmm.
and there's drinks for me and I don't have to pay for them because I'm doing something I really love doing.
Yeah. Or for whatever reason, I'm sure people live like this all the time. As an adult, I never have, but for small periods of times where it's I've got $3,000 in the bank. That means for the next 24 hours, I can make any lots of choices. There's lots of choices available to me because I have this money for this short period of time. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had moments where I've had a certain amount of money and just gone, I know I'm getting more soon, so if I spend all that, it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
And then
But while that is a way that I frequently live, even as an adult, with children and a wife and a household and all that sort of stuff, I still very much live on a day-to-day basis. And I do feel I feel guilt, but I don't think it's necessarily truthful guilt. It's just guilt because of the pressures of the sort of society and community that I live in, that makes me go because I can't provide all the choices, because I can't give my family limitless choices because of the choices I have made, that means that I'm not as good.
Yeah.
I'm not as good for that.
And it's funny because you've done something courageous in the sense that you're doing something you love doing and you're getting money for it, and you've basically made your own job.
Yeah.
You're I don't fit any of those jobs, make my own.
But the weird
You
thing
built
is,
it.
right? Now that I'm in, for those listening that don't know, I am a musician and I have developed a business over the last 11 months in which I am just basically a freelance musician. I have a small recording studio at home and I make music for people, either for commercial purposes or corporate purposes or just private purposes or whatever. Which means that I'm basically essentially working for myself now in the profession that I've wanted to work in. I didn't want to be writing, never really fantasized when I was younger about, writing jingles and being a corporate, making music, at times for corporate purposes and stuff. I wanted to be a fucking rock star. I think that's why I was such an extreme teenager, because I thought I kind of already was one.
Yeah.
I was
State of mind.
I was living the life I fantasized about. You know, even though it was not necessarily, you know, I don't think I wasn't there.
Yeah,
You know, it was
yeah.
a bit premature. So now I'm living this life, this, you know, this supposedly authentic, you know, like made a job out of the thing I love, you know.
Mhm.
I still suck at working though. I went from sucking at working for other people to sucking at working for myself.
Do you ever troll yourself, like, and you figure that you're, I don't know if I'm going to get this across, but you like basically, you kid yourself into thinking that you are. No. I don't remember.
Okay, this is another thought that I had, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you know how, you know, like the term of like a pipe dream.
Yeah.
You know, so you got a pipe dream. And sometimes, like, just because somebody has a pipe dream doesn't mean that, you know, like, it might be someone's pipe dream that they're going to be like a really successful actor or a really famous singer or something like that, but they just can't sing, or they're not good at acting. They just don't have any natural ability, you know, like, you know, there's lots of like really proficient musicians that actually aren't naturally talented, but you know, they've just been very diligent with their studies and practice routine, and you know, their commitment to learning the flute or you know, or whatever, and getting good at it because they practice really hard. I feel like singing to a degree is not necessarily the same as that, because I've worked with lots of musicians who are like, they clearly do have a natural talent and ability because they've got like a, you know, a good ear, and they can hear and they write songs and they can play the guitar or the piano like really beautifully and compose stuff, and they can jam, and they can hear when things are changing, and they're not ignorant, and they're aware of but they can't sing, they just can't do it. Right, so you know, this like talent is getting in the way of like all kinds of pipe dreams out there. Some people want to be a really good artist, but they're just not naturally good at drawing or whatever. And we were talking a little earlier about, you know, the idea of like either societies, maybe some that live in cultures that still exist in remote areas now, but that are basically attached to, you know, an ancient form of civilization, you know, like, you know, rich in history and tradition and whatever. And we were talking about the idea that, you know, like there are cultures or tribes out there that really respect and celebrate the concept of allowing somebody to grow up and discover who they are and what their calling is, and the community will get behind them and support them doing that. Do you think that in a society or a culture like that, or in a period of time like that, that there was the person in bungalow A9 in the corner over there who like really wanted to be like, you know, really wanted to play the fucking pan flute, but they just like, and they showed up and they did all the lessons, and they had the sickest like pan, you know, his father and his father's father was like, you know, the fucking pan flute player of this tribe, and they just can't fucking do it. But like, you know, everyone's trying to be all like supportive of his feelings and stuff, and being like, you know, like, you know, keep working at it, you know, like you'll get there, you know, that's fine, you'll get there eventually. Like, I don't imagine that it would have been possible or mentally conceivable to be a fool in that sense in a society or a time period like that. Like, I don't know, like that's just kind of like an open-ended, useless question, but I'm like, you know, did people like that exist in that scenario, you know, like fucking no, I'm not going to make up a name because it will probably be offensive and derogatory or something. I'm trying to like, you know, I almost went to like, I'm not sure if you heard recently that Adam Sandler's working on this movie at the moment, and he, it's kind of like a comedy western, and there's like, you know, it's kind of like a Cowboys versus Indian vibe to it, and he got all of these Native American actors to come and be extras on the set for this western comedy. And he was giving them all like really like derogatory names, like you know, like smells like dog poo, or you know, like just really immature, like I don't know if the one I just said was one, but like on that level, just on par with that, like just the blatant, like just zero effort or creativity to like, you know, trying to even crossing the line to being satirical or funny. It was just dumb. And they walked offset. Like they just like had a huge strike and walked offset. So then they had to go and like, you know, get makeup and make people look like Native Americans because the jokes and stuff and just the stereotyping was just so ridiculous and so over the top on this movie set that all these extras got together and they were like, yeah, no, we gotta go. We're actually not going to be in this movie because like we just by like, you know, our principles alone, we just can't. we can't be a part of this. This is actually really offensive.
Even though they probably don't get paid and you know that'd be
they would literally
controversy or whatever.
walk away from money, aka choices.
Yeah.
Because
based on something real.
Because of that, yeah. So that there is why I'm not going to. I was going to give some sort of character name for reference for whatever joke I was going to make, but which I've since forgotten the joke. But
that's okay. I think we've both been a little bit guilty of that. But yeah, man, like every time we're talking, I just think of these concepts. You know, self-belief, self-determination, compassion. You know, and then what part of us as people is a little bit selfish, and are we allowed to be? And does it, you know, you see, like, I think about musicians, for example, who literally go through the world using electricity and, you know, not wrecking venues, but making venues have to do a job and clean up after themselves, and they're getting rewarded for it. It's kind of a selfish action in a lot of ways. Like, the people get something out of it. Yeah. But if you think about the effort involved, like, this probably isn't coming across very well.
I think that's just like...
But it produces a non-selfish result because people enjoy themselves.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I think just being alive, even if you're not a human, even if you're a fox or a monkey or, you know, whatever, like, I think being alive and surviving in life generally is going through a process of having to do something for the result of something else. You know, like I have to, if I'm a squirrel, I have to climb that tree, even though it's a laborious task. There's a nut up there or something that I want to eat, so I gotta do the work to get the result. You know, like that's the animal.
That's how it works.
World, yeah. So, and it's like analogies like that kind of like make you feel guilty, like when you sort of go back to the thing of like, well, I couldn't do that job anymore because I just really didn't like it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I really didn't like it.
Didn't like it.
And so even though like I live that life, I am that person. I am like, you know, selfishly by definition, based, you know, because of what's normal. You know, it's normal to stay in a job that you don't like because that's
what most people do.
It's the right thing to do. It's the thing it's a thing that our society has decided is the right thing to do. And so even though I don't agree with that, I still catch myself beating myself up at times for being like, but why can't you just do it?
Yeah.
Why can't you just do it?
Yep.
Don't you see, mate? Mac down the road, he loves his weekends. Yeah.
Like
he
he's
loves his
loose on the weekends. I tell you what, he goes hard.
Yeah. Puts his head down Monday to Friday. When the weekend comes around, you don't even know if he's going to make it to the next Monday.
Yeah, mate, he is a loose cannon. 5 p.m. on a Friday, and he's necked 3 beers by 5:03.
Yeah, it's been on the solo since 2.
Yeah, anything. Brought bloody rum cake to work.
Riding a wheelie bin down the street.
What is the most bogan thing you've seen?
The most bogan thing I've seen was I can't remember who was in the car. It might have even been my kids in the car. I'm not sure. Like wife in the front and the kids in the back, driving into the city, up North Terrace, and it was like just after a footy game or something, and so there's heaps of free public transport whenever there's a local AFL game, like Crows or Port or whatever, and so there was just like pissed as fuck people just walking up the street, like not even on the median strip, like just walking down the middle, like on the lines of the lanes of North Terrace. This dude just turns around and this car beeps at him, is like, yeah, 'cause he's like, the dude's got like, he's just got his pants on, he's got no shirt on, he's got like colours painted on him and shit, and like one of his mates has got a crow's flag or something like that, and he just turns around in the car like beep, 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 he turns around and just strips off. He just strips his pants off. He's got like a big ass mullet. And he's just like dancing and waving his dick around and like, oh, it's fucking hilarious. And then on I guess, for the balance part of the story there, like maybe a month or so later, I was doing a gig at World's End on Hindley Street, and I'm walking up, and I've been going to the gym a lot at this point. This was like last year when I was like, really like trimmed down and got fit and stuff, and like wearing a shirt, and like my guns have popped a little bit, and you've got my tats out, and like carrying like a bass case, and like
confidence,
like, going to the gig because I'm like
this is what I do.
My life's dope and I do dope shit. And then this like group of girls go past in a car, and like. They're like yelling out at me, and they're like, "Oh, you are hot!" And this one chick just whacks her tits out at me. Just bogus. Like, where are you going? You go on the gig. You're hot.
Do you want to come with us?
Yeah, I had a big ass fucking man bun and shit at the time.
Yeah. It's funny that
I've almost successfully like undone most of the great work I did on myself physically. I've just been eating heaps of shit.
Dude, I've been eating so much. I don't know why. I don't know if it's been because I'm in a relationship now or...
Yeah, relationships make you happy
safe
to eat a fuck ton of ice cream.
I feel like if the more you eat in some ways, the more comfortable you are, therefore the more you like the person. So, the fatter you get, maybe that just shows how big your love is. Yeah.
It's a present to yourselves as a couple.
Yeah. And you don't want to like move as much.
Buy this for ourselves.
You don't want to move as much, so you'd rather just stay in bed and eat cake and stuff because it tastes really good.
Because when you're in a relationship with someone that you really like, you just want to fucking hang out and eat ice cream with them. That's what you want to do. You just want to hang out. I like hanging out. Yeah, that's one of the things, like, I'm heaps... like, for all of the things that I don't have in my life, like health insurance or savings or a mortgage or even feeling like a competent parent, I at least like hanging out with my wife on a daily basis. I would just do that every day. That's fine with me.
Do you know what? It would be amazing if you didn't, because you probably went with a gut feeling when you met her, right?
Yeah.
You went, this is good.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that feeling.
Yeah.
So imagine going for someone on paper. So like someone on paper seems good. Like they're good looking. They have money. They have this. They have that. And go, yep, no, I'm feeling something for someone else that's I can't explain and it's overwhelming and all this sort of thing. But whether it's because they're afraid of that and that failing, or they just don't have the instinct to go, that's heaps better. Because I've kind of done both. And it's like just, you're marrying someone on paper. You're marrying the idea of them, the things they put forward or whatever.
Which is the thing that happens.
It totally happens, and I think that's one of the reasons why there's a lot of people like who leave each other and stuff. But another thing that's interesting is like, have you ever had friends who have, or maybe done it yourself? I sort of haven't. Can't really recall entirely, but let's say you're with someone and you're sick of it, and you think, I'm ready.
Can't go there anymore.
Just can't do it. Instead of just going off without someone else and not telling this person, why not just be like, hey, look, honestly, don't want to have sex anymore.
Yeah.
Want to go and find someone else to do it with. I know that's harsh. Yeah, no, I love you too, but blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then be real about it and then move on.
Which I think that, okay, this is, this go, like, I'm taking this to, like,
out there.
A little bit out there.
Do it.
I guess, going, anyway, whatever. I'm just going to go there. I'm going to do it. And,
we're all friends here.
Yeah, like, I just don't care. But I think that like not in the same way that like everybody's different. There's all kinds of different kinds of people that have different tendencies, and some people are irritable, and some people are gullible, and some people are, you know, whatever. So there is a percentage of people on the planet, I believe, that have this inbuilt thing that makes them, you know, I don't think anybody is like completely at the mercy 100% of the time of their genetics. Everybody has the ability to absorb new information and change neurological pathways and, you know, create new patterns for themselves and stuff, you know, just to take a bit of work. And, you know, we're also at a little bit, to a degree, at the mercy of the genetics of the people that made us. Well, my mum had, you know, my mum has a temper, and my dad is, you know, a critical thinker or whatever, you know, like, so you have those, you know, it's almost like creating an RPG character, you know, like plus
traits,
to this,
character
minus
traits.
to that. Yeah, exactly. So that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So there are a percentage of people out there that have this, like, I guess you could almost relate it to that whole sort of like, you know, fight or flight concept. Some people will stay put in a scenario and just like shut their brain down. Some people will freak out and, you know, like, you know, not get on the plane at all, or some people will like just pass out or whatever, you know, like, so in a relationship or in a job or in some sort of topic or some sort of, you know, choice that someone's got to make that has pressures from, you know, whatever, like, you know, religious ideas or, you know, any sort of just, you know, opinions that, you know, pressing opinions from the society that they live in, you know, reminding that, you know, keeping that at the forefront of their mind, knowing that, you know, if I do this, then that's accepted by the culture that I'm in, and if I don't do that, then, you know, I'm going to be, you know, a lot of people are going to, you know, potentially get in my face about this, like if you have been cheating on somebody and you're like, or you don't want to be in a relationship with somebody, but, you know, like, but we've got a lot of the same friends, and their family really like me, and you know, like her dad lent us some money so that I could, or whatever, or you know, in some scenarios, like, well, like, you know, we've got this house together, and she makes all the money and I don't make much money, and you know, like, she'll get everything, and it'll, you know, I'll she's been supporting, you know, they're supporting me in this creative endeavor or whatever that I'm doing, and, you know, I better not leave them, because then I'd have to, like, you know, I have to do like more work, you know, it'd be harder for me. So I think there are some people that are like, you know, that just have it in them to just be like, nah, I can't, you know, in the same vein as the person that's like, I can't keep working at this job that I really don't like, with the manager that I think is a wanker, and, you know, and the customers treat me like shit here, because, you know, society, or, you know, as a whole, are a bunch of spoiled little shits that, you know, really don't actually realize that, you know, just because somebody is saying like, hi, how can I help you, that it means that, you know, that they're a lower form of human than you are, and they can just say whatever the fuck they want. And funny story, actually, earlier today I've got one of those like member cards to one of the local chemists at my house, and I have like major like issues with animal allergies at the moment, and I have to keep changing the medication that I take because my body gets used to the active ingredient and all this shit. So I've got this members card to this place, and when you go in there, all the products have two prices. You got the members price and the regular price, and you can usually save like, you know, $5 off, you know, any given item or whatever. So I'm a member. I recently got a new phone. I got an app on my phone where you scan in all of your like member cards, like Game Traders card and EB World card and all that sort of stuff, and you scan it in there, and you just whip it out and click on it, and it brings up the barcode, and they can scan it there and then. So I walk up to the counter, put my little medication thing down, and she goes, "Oh, are you a club member?" And I was like, "Yep." Hang on a sec. I might have to give you the number, because the last time I tried to use this app at the other shop, just up in the mall here, the scanner thing didn't work. I had to give them the number. She's like, "Oh, do you have the actual card?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." She wasn't rude. She's like, "Do you have the actual card?" And I was like, "No, I don't have the actual card." She's like, "Oh, you need the actual card." I was like, "Oh, are you serious?" And then like Neeks comes up, and she's like, "Oh, what's wrong?" And I was like, "Ah, I'm not allowed to use, because this member card, like some places will give you a member card, but, you know, you just like, you don't have to pay anything. They just give you the card, and then you use it, and you accumulate points, and if you get enough points, you get discount or something. But this particular member card, you have to pay, I think you have to pay like $60 or something like that, and I think it might be annual. I'm not sure. Didn't really pay attention when the chick was explaining it to me, but you pay like $60 and then you get like discount off of everything they sell because you've paid to be a member of this store, right? So she was like, "Oh, you can't use the discount unless you have the actual card on you." And I was like, I turned to Nix and I was like, "I'm not allowed to use the card that I've paid money to be allowed to use," and I'm like getting a bit like getting flippant. I was being a fuckhead, and then I was like, "Oh, don't worry about it." Then I like pick the thing up and I go to take it back to the shelf, and like I'm already like halfway away from the counter back to the shelf, putting it back, and she's like, because it's like, because it's actually like a store card. I didn't even remember what she said, and I didn't even let her finish what she said. I was like, "Yeah, that's great," and like put the thing back, grabbed the kids, like, "Come on, let's go," and like stormed out. And I got like 20 steps away from there, and I was like, and I all of my first jobs were in customer service. I either worked in department stores or I worked face to face with customers. I worked in stores that had policies that I had to uphold. There's literally nothing I could do. Like I can't, I can't give you a 20% discount on this just because I want to. Like at the end, they're gonna check my receipts at the end of the day, lady. Do you want fucking Ross to get mad at me at the end of the day? He said I'm on my last warning because I've been late 5 times this week. And so, I've been that guy, and I've had that person be like, "Oh, well, you don't care," or like walk off, or like be rude to me and flip at me. And today I was that person to this chick, and I stormed out, and we went and got some like fucking sushi because we're like hipster dicks.
Sushi's good.
Yeah. Oh, I love sushi, but I just got like a dick saying that.
Yeah. No.
And so we're like going down the sushi, and then I realized like my kids, my son and my daughter. Even though I'm not 100, because my wife was in the chemist with me as well, and so maybe they weren't paying attention to me, maybe they were. But if they were paying attention to me, and I don't know if they were, and they probably were, maybe in some subconscious way, they just could hear the tone of my voice or whatever. My children, my 2-year-old daughter and my 3-year-old son, just witnessed me be rude to somebody because of a policy that they didn't make up, that I'm sure that they probably think is stupid themselves, but can't do anything about it. And that I decided that meant that I had the right to talk to them like they were an asshole, and watch me be an asshole. And that person was in customer service mode. Even if a customer's rude to you, it's not okay to be rude back. That's just bad customer service, So in a way, the choices that she makes are being held hostage by this concept that while she is standing on that side of the desk and I'm standing on this side of the desk, she's working for me. She didn't know me. I didn't know her. I wasn't thinking about her this morning. I won't be thinking about her tonight. That was really unnecessary.
That was quite funny. I'm just gonna go.
I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking about you. Anyway, so my kids watched me do that. My kids watched me be a prick.
Yeah.
And they not only did they watch their dad be a prick to a stranger, they also watched they also absorbed the information that said, well, that stranger's working in the shop, so she has to put up with that because that's good customer service. And I was like, nah, I'm not cool with that. I'm not cool with that at all. I think that's terrible. Like, what the fuck? So, and so usually what you would normally do, what a lot of people do, even to people that aren't strangers, even people that they're good friends with, they get into some sort of situation where for whatever reason, maybe they've been a bit of a dick to their friend, maybe they didn't think they were being a dick to their friend, but they were being a dick to their friend, and they've gone and reflected on it, and they've gone, oh, maybe I was a bit of a dick. But most of the time, I think it's usually, maybe it isn't, but maybe I think it's usually the natural response to be like, oh well, they're annoyed at me, and now that I think about it, I can kind of see why they'd be annoyed at me, and that just makes me even more annoyed at them. And, I'm not going to apologize. I just won't go to that shop anymore because I annoyed that girl. I'm never going to go to that shop because I can't go back there because she's always going to know that I was that one that was a dickhead at times, so I can't go back there. So I went I was talking to Nix about it, and then I was like, yeah, nah, I've got to do something about this. So I walked up to a Big W, went and bought a big pack of Cadbury favourites, just bought them, walked straight back to the chemist, walked in, put them on the counter in front of her, and I said, look, I fucking hate it when people act the way I just behaved, and I'm really sorry about that, and I've been in your shoes before, and that was fucked. And she she tried to refuse it and whatever, and then I was also in the back of my head, I was like, she's probably like, like, what did he do to him,
Yeah.
What did he put in them? And that's also a sad thing, that we also live in a world where you can't like, like, I'm not going to eat that because, he could be fucking anyway. He could be a fucking weirdo. He could put shit in that. Like, generosity. Wow, this really does go full circle. But it's what was like we were saying. It ties to earlier before, and we were saying that like generosity actually puts people in danger sometimes. Like, or that's where we've been brought up to.
If you don't know the person, it's probably dodgy, or they've put poison in it.
Which is also totally valid, because that you
It
can't put
happens.
your head in the sand and go like, that doesn't exist. Like, people are being generous. Like,
But it's like there's two examples I've got. One is like I went and passed the government house recently and saw the guys for the Save the Repat, and I was a bit drunk, but I
they've
walked
been
up.
sleeping there for like 100 days.
They're tank, man.
I only saw them the other day.
Full on. And so like I went up and said, look, I don't really understand this, but can you just tell me what it's all about? Like, I'm interested, and you probably have a good cause, but I want to. And then one of the guys standing next to the main guy was like, oh, just sign it. It's good. Just sign it. And then he goes, no, Barry, shush. And he went, look, blah, 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 blah. And he was explaining all the cuts and how, all the things that happen there are really important and all this sort of thing. And I just sussed him out. I just went, this guy's legit. And I said, look, I'll sign the thing for sure. Like, and because he explained it. And it was simple. But I thought, I want to bring him food. Like, I thought if I'm in town again and he's there and he's been there for ages, I want to just bring him something. And I thought I couldn't bake him something. I'd have to buy it and have it be packaged.
It has to be packaged and sealed.
Because if I baked him
And even
something,
if it
he
was
might
sealed-
think I was trying to get him off the,
Right, because
paranoid
people
maybe.
be paranoid like that. Yeah.
Especially because he's fucking with the government.
Yeah.
What if I'm just a plant
Yeah.
to say here's some...
Yeah. But you know what?
mysteriously died,
Like, you and when you say that, you're like, oh, that you're like, you'd have to be pretty paranoid to think that. But I actually don't think it would be like. I think it would be like a pretty common thing that someone would think. Like, oh, even if it's sealed, there's, they could have resealed it.
True.
It's not impossible, whatever. Like, and I don't think like, even though that's a crazy way to live your life, and to assume that people are like that. Even though there, are a select few people out there that, do horrible shit does happen. But you hear about it, way more than the good shit. Good shit for some reason. Unless it's really cute and heartwarming, like just a good deed done, just doesn't register. It's not entertaining.
It's not. It doesn't. You know what it's doing? It's shocking that instinct in you to, to fix a problem that's really difficult, because it's huge. Like you'd have to have it in you. It's like why movies go straight to the top with sex and violence and all this stuff, because that you would be the most alert and aware if you're in that situation. So because you're not in the situation of,
because if it was just about as good as what happens in your real life, then you'd probably just go and live your real life, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, if it was like, they do.
It's got to be an experience that you can't have.
Yeah. If it was like, I don't know, they have that.
Which is why
thing.
it's so fucked that we model ourselves on experiences we can't have.
Yeah.
On experiences that aren't real, on lifestyles that aren't real, that aren't even presented in reality.
Lifestyles that you can go cut will just fix that up a bit. It's like the difference between being in the studio and then being playing live in a way. Yeah. But at the same time, like, if you don't have your equipment,
there's no cut and editing room in life.
Yeah, it's all one take. You can't do it in one take. You fucking weak.
Fucking one take, Tom.
You get one take. It's called your life, alright?
Yeah. Fucking take a break.
Think you can pause your life? Fucking can't. Can't run away from it.
Can't do that.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
What you can do is
try and load previously saved game. Dare you?
Yeah. Tell you what.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not going to be reincarnating with all full knowledge, I tell you that.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know what? Yep. I'm going to take a short break, just to talk about something. I'll
Yeah.
be back in like 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
TST.
Indigering I do. Fucking like, yeah. So it's fucking pussy, like fucking, and then it's like, one thing I did, one thing that came to me while you were on the toilet,
Yeah.
right, was we've talked a lot about like living authentically, right, and we've also talked about, you know, how for some people living authentically and in a search for living a meaningful life and living a life of authenticity means that sometimes you have to just like stop an activity that's not good for your brain, even though it may be perfectly accept, you know, somebody else could perfectly be fine to cope with whatever job you just couldn't bear doing another day. You know, there's some people that, you know, do meaningful but you know, like repetitive jobs for a huge portion of their life and don't really whinge about it. And, you know,
Yeah, some people it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
yeah. So, but you know, but just because some people can put up with it doesn't mean that, you know, that other people that it's not a legitimate, real thing that exists, that people get to a point where mentally they're like, I just can't work there anymore. I can't go there. I can't even call up. I can't even call in sick. I can't even resign. I'm just not going back. I just can't go back. My brain literally will not let me do that. I do not have that choice.
You know what happened to me before I made the choice when it was when I should have, is in jobs I would just get so overwhelmed that I would shut down, and I'd go to function, and I just couldn't talk anymore. Like I couldn't. Things became surreal, and it's like my brain going, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
We got to the point where we couldn't take any more, and now you're just gonna feel like this.
Yeah.
And it means you don't function. It's like bailing you out. It's like if you were supposed to fight someone and you know,
It's like when you
fainted.
it's you're literally acting on some form of instinct, I
Yeah,
believe.
it's self-preservation, so that you get out of the situation on medical grounds.
In the
you know?
same way that you wouldn't like just stand there and let a bus hit you.
Yeah.
You're not going to let yourself mentally implode because you've continued to participate in an activity that is destroying you inside.
Yeah, 'cause
even though that may seem like, you know, like a form of hypochondria to someone that's like, well, I can deal with it. It's perfectly fine. Like, it's got nothing to do with what you can deal with.
Yeah.
You know, what I also wanted to point out as well is that it doesn't. Hearing me explain it from my perspective, because I am a person that has, you know, just gone and made, you know, what I guess you could call authentic. This is how I feel at the moment. This is the choice I need to make today. Choices, authentic choices. Whether they came with consequences or not. You know, like I think making a choice authentically means that you are aware of consequences for making that choice, but still have no choice within yourself but to make it.
Yeah, and I started doing that recently. I think this is where we maybe started, like close to this. And the more of it I did, the more I realized that, like you're allowed. You know, first of all, like the world doesn't end when you quit your job that you don't like. Yeah, there's consequences of having less money or needing to lean on people more or whatever. But if that's literally got you out of the snake pit that you were in, it's, if you can do it without hurting anybody, it's worth it. Like, definitely.
Yeah.
And people go, what about the plans? What about the future? And I always think the future, you know what, man? Like, the economic collapse where people lost all their super and all that stuff, the American super, 401k, 41k, whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, or if something happens to you, or, you know, like you get diagnosed with something, or you end up in hospital or whatever. It's like all those plans, all that well laid out, well thought out stuff, because you're always living partly in the future, doesn't happen. So it's like and it would have been okay to be doing what you actually wanted to do for a year prior and still survived, and then got an illness or something.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's extreme, and I know that, you know, like being a healthy person, I'm likely to live a long life. So it's like, but I'm assuming that you know, for a while I was assuming I could only survive if I was doing something I didn't like doing.
Yeah.
Like, there are ways to survive. There are levels of existence we are willing to settle for.
Yeah. Do you know what I think that makes me realise, though? I feel like that makes me realise that there, like, especially in this day and age, this day of technology and communication and sharing and broadcasting, like in the same way that you and I have the ability to broadcast what we are, saying right now to the world, so does everybody else. Information is free and flowing, whether it be, academic or, based on experience or, whatever. So in this age where we are more technologically connected to each other than ever, also as that has increased, so has the amount of people that are depressed, suicidal, taking drugs, doing acting and all different types of activity that detach them from reality, that detach them from from having to deal with. And it's the same, I guarantee, I promise, it's the same thing for everyone, is judgment. We are, and that makes me realize, just as a planet, as an environment, as a species, we are, like, that is proof enough that we are all actually so connected to each other that the one thing that makes us act outside of our own personal interests more than anything else in the world is fear of judgment. People are so scared of being judged that they will stay in a job that they hate, stay in a relationship that they hate, continue with an activity that is destroying them from the inside, making them fear judgment so much that sometimes they go out of their way to judge others, to fight and uphold the beliefs in the system of judgment that they have confined themselves to.
And when you get to a point where it doesn't matter to you anymore, I've had glimpses of it, I think, and like, I've thought to myself, I'm going to do this thing and people might think I'm an idiot or a dickhead or whatever, and having them maybe think that, but then really not caring at the time that they might think that, because it's almost like, for me, with some of the stuff I've done, like just being more outgoing, I guess, in general, whether it's at a party or whatever, or the couple of times I tried to do stand-up comedy and that sort of thing, just this putting myself through, it's because it's an internal battle for me. It's me saying, all right, this is really hard and scary, so you're going to do it. Like, part of that inspiration was from listening to Will Smith talk about that. He's like, if I'm afraid of something, I do it. And I thought about that, and I thought, there's heaps I'm afraid of, like talking in front of people, learning a new instrument or whatever it might be, or getting really confident with girls and stuff. But then once I go ahead and do those things, or at least give them a go, I find, I'm not too bad at this kind of thing. And I'm able to just do it. Like, and but if I said to myself, right, I'm gonna set this goal and I don't reach it, like, I'd bitched out and gone, I'm not going on, I'd hate myself, kind of thing. Yeah. And that was like currency to me.
That feeling.
No, and I'll probably do it again, in some form. I mean, this is similar to that. It's broadcasting. But it's like, about to have these thoughts and feelings and stuff, and it's always in the background sometimes for some people, and for me in the past, it's been like, oh, I'd love to do that, but I've started just going, just do them. Just don't, because I don't care about what people think of it. Like, and I probably do a little bit, but I want to get to a point where I really don't, because then it'll be authentic, and that sense of authenticity, I only gravitate towards things now that are authentic. But that's why I love podcasts.
People even judge authenticity. Like, we're so like pre-programmed to fear judgment, right? That even when we try to be authentic ourselves, we still feel the need to defend our classification of authenticity, or also offend other types of authenticity. So there's for people to go like, I just couldn't live in this fucking trap of like working for the man and stuff, and I just couldn't be a part of that system and whatever, and like people like, I have no doubt that people exist that aren't making six-figure salaries, that are living a humble life in a job that probably isn't like you know, something that's massively glamorous or, you know, celebrated or cool or popular or whatever. You know, it's not in the top 20 list of dream jobs or whatever. You know, I'm positive that there are people that live and work and are perfectly happy with the lot that they've got, and that's fine, and that doesn't mean that necessarily that they're an idiot or they're a fool or that they're attached to a system that is ridiculous, and like no one should live that way because anybody living that way is a slave. Like, you know, like someone can just be happy, you know, being the cleaner at their local school or something, and you know, they've got some kids and they love their kids, and they, you know, they're the kids of their life, and they get grandkids, and I think that's sick too, and you know, like that that can still be an authentic life,
Of course, yeah.
but what we tend to do is we tend to, like, not everybody individually, but like once we classify, even when we try and declassify ourselves, we're still some hint or form of classification still going on, and it's a natural tendency for
a social order.
And I think even the best, most open-minded, most empathic type of person out there would still have those moments where they're like, you know, would catch themselves out judging someone for authentically enjoying a belief system or lifestyle that is different to the one that you authentically live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because I learn about other cultures and other, you know, ways of worship and stuff. I mean, like, it's interesting to go through those rituals, because say, I mean, I think...
And they are rituals.
Yeah, so much of life is rituals though, man. Think about going out to dinner. You save up some money, and you take this currency that you've put in effort for, you know, generally most people have. You've done something to get it, and you're going to trade that for the experience of eating a meal. Like, you could eat a protein slab or a, you know, nutrition bowl and just get everything your body needs scientifically. Or you could just ingest it or whatever in one gulp. And you'd survive the same. Let's say you get the same nutrition, but you don't get the experience of eating in a cool restaurant with lots of tastes, and, you know, the nutrition thing is tasteless. It's just, you just get what you need. It's like...
Is that part of the nutrition though? Do you reckon? Do
Yeah.
you reckon eating, part of the nutritional value of eating good food is knowing that you're eating it?
Yeah.
Do you reckon that actually has an active effect on the nutritional value?
You know what? It would
of
affect
that food
your
inside
mental...
you?
It would affect your mental state.
Yeah.
And which we know can affect your
your
body.
mental state can directly affect your body's blood flow.
Yeah. So it's all connected to that. I mean...
Yeah. Well, I've been doing getting acupuncture done for a little while, and the acupuncturist is a friend of mine who plays drums in Solasoma, one of the bands that I play bass in. And I went and saw him, and that day after my appointment with him, I had to go and meet up with some friends who I was working on a new business idea venture that they'd had, and that they'd, you know, asked me if I wanted to participate in it. And initially I thought, you know, that I would have, you know, be able to balance it out with my life and my other self-employment and stuff, and you know, gave it a go. But then this particular day I decided, you know, I got to tell them, like, you know, like, sorry, you know, before this goes any further ahead, you know, I'm really not having trouble managing my time. I got to bail out of this idea, you know, and so I was feeling a bit anxious about going and seeing them, because, you know, they're also really busy as well, and the what they wanted me to do to help this idea along, you know, it wasn't really something that they had time to do themselves. So you know, I was playing a big part on this idea going ahead, and even though they can find somebody else to replace me, you know, it won't be something that will happen overnight. You know, we'll have to go and find somebody, because, you know, the commitment that they're looking for is pretty long term. So, you know, I went and got some acupuncture done that morning, and I was telling him, you know, I was feeling a bit anxious because I got this meeting coming up soon where I, you know, got to kind of go and break up with a business partner, you know, in a new venture. So he focused a lot on my abdomen and stuff, and finding it's not, he told me that it's not so much pressure points that they're looking for in acupuncture, it's kind of like it's all to do with like chakras and all this sort of
Mhm.
stuff, which is all stuff that in like the quantum scientific community and stuff are now coming along to the idea of going, actually there's something there.
Yeah, right.
There's something to that.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
That's why I listen to Coast to Coast,
the
man.
science is there. You know,
Yeah.
the science says this is not actually just witchcraft or
Sometimes the crazy people get a fluke, they
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
or they were there already,
yeah,
ahead of the
yeah,
curve,
yeah,
to a degree.
Yeah. So, I think often throughout history we've seen that science has literally just caught up to scientifically prove things that people thought were either hearsay or in the concept of like magic, like
It's
the
like-
idea of a light bulb
Yeah.
would have been considered magic
Hmm.
at some point in time. The idea of being able to do that, the idea of being able to flick a switch and make fire just come,
Mhm.
like that's fucking that's sorcery.
It's like if I had sunburn, I could get that aloe vera plant over there and just rub it on me, and it would fix it. Like, I mean, that's a really basic example, but like you said, if you'd never known that plants could heal, that's sorcery for the brief moment.
Yeah.
Just like when you're not used to technology and you see that you can use a phone or whatever, or imagine not having technology all your life.
Yeah.
You would be like, and not knowing about science and all that shit. You'd be like, that's magic. There's a portal there to another land, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it would be real to you as a magical thing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how I think that's why as games improve, we can't go back. In many cases, because I go back to other games and feel the same sort of nostalgic feeling, but I'm always like, these graphics, man. I'm used to something better, and it's kind of like, I don't know what to equate that to. Whether to equate it to having really good food all the time, and then you can't have a bad coffee or whatever, because you're so used to that level of standard.
Yeah, but see the standard again. It gets back to this psychological nutrient, this nutrient of like pleasing the emotional, therefore also feeding in some sense the physical. By experience. So
You know what's interesting? Just quickly, music. The concept. I went to a gig last night. The concept of everyone getting their stimulant of choice, whether it's coffee or a beer or a wine, or sneaky people who do other things before gigs. Whatever state of mind you want to be in. Oh, if you want to be completely sober, it's good too. And then watching people do things that don't give you food or shelter or anything practical. It gives you a feeling, or it should.
Yeah.
And you want more of it when it's a good feeling. Or even if it's an anxious feeling or something, maybe you're interested in that. You want a feeling that it gives you, or you want to feel something. And like, it's a ritual.
Yeah.
But it's like, how some people will spend so much money to go and see a band, or they'll put all their time and effort into being a musician.
Yeah.
Because you're high on that feeling, you're high on the reward of an experience. And people think about money and go, well, money can buy me experiences. Yeah. A lot of cases it can.
Yeah.
Get you overseas, get you to a gig you want to see or whatever.
Yeah.
But if your experience you need is to be in love with someone, or have a proper adventure, like a camping adventure or something, or hang out with people who are local somewhere that's interesting, and have like a fully authentic cultural experience. You can't necessarily buy that. You kind of have to be in the right place at the right time, know the right people, and you can have that experience without the money as well.
Yeah.
I know that it's like, obviously there's practicalities to consider, but it's just, to go through life thinking that you need a certain level of above what's practical, to survive and be healthy.
Yeah.
That you need more than that to have more fun.
Yeah. Which is the most, which I think is probably the most valuable, yet hard, very rarely, authentically, legitimately, unconditionally taught to people, growing up in life, that being born and growing up into a person, and then getting to that point where you've got to branch off and make choices for your own. Your own life now. From now on, it's just you making choices for you for the time being, until you decide to, maybe partner up with somebody else or whatever. You totally
No,
missed it.
and you know what though? You know what you made me think of? It's all based on those magician people, the cocky kids who figured out the crossword before the rest of the class did, and handed it to the teacher and went, yeah, you know, or whatever, who made up money, who went, let's just do this thing. The whole reason people like slog their guts out and do something they hate, like shoveling like real shit maybe.
Yeah.
They're literally, ugh. They're doing that because someone else is trolling them, basically. Or a system is trolling them.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm not saying it should
It's
be
a trick.
anarchy. It's a trick. It's you know what I thought about? Okay, I remember I was walking through the old place I lived in, the Lantern, by myself. And I was just listening to music, and it was like really late afternoon, so it was really quite dark. And I went, the oil in places, it's just like if oil showed up, if gold showed up out the ground in your backyard, you're suddenly someone with gold and wealth.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like if you
didn't put it there though.
No, and like people
it's
who
totally circumstantial.
Yep, they like put their
And people are born that way. There are
Yeah.
people born into fortunes
Oh.
they had no part in creating.
like you just go tap the earth and stuff comes out.
Yeah. And some of these people go on to become some of the most influential people on the planet. Yet they've never, ever, ever in their entire life ever experienced any form of struggle that was like, you know, that had anything to do with not being able to do something.
They live in a different universe.
Yeah.
It's like you talk about the squirrel that, you know,
It was like
can-
fucking Prince Charles, right?
Yeah.
He has, I think it's once a month or something like this, he writes these handwritten notes, right? And he's been doing it for fucking ever. These handwritten notes, and they are, at the end of the month, to be collected up and presented to the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom for his consideration, and they're like lock and key, and he writes these notes down, and Prince puts them in this little box, and the box gets brought. You know, it's like the fucking unanimous question box when you're doing sex ed. You know, you just drop them in, and then they're gonna get read out at the end of the week. Except like the only person in the class is Prince Charles. So like, Prince, can you please stop writing "I like stories"? We know it's you. And so the Prime Minister gets these notes, right? And it's all been like hush hush, and like no one can know. And the Prime Minister, when he gets these notes, like Prime Minister after Prime Minister have had to endure this ritual, right? So they sit down, and no one else is allowed to like be in the room with them, and only the Prime Minister reads them. They are for the Prime Minister's eyes only. And I don't quite remember where I heard this bit of information from, but it got leaked out that one of these notes, written by Prince of the Royal Family, who was born, you know, literally like a silver spoon in his mouth, never would have. I think it was in the military at some point, something like that. But I can't really imagine, you know, that they would have.
they probably soft pedal him.
Yeah, like they probably rolled him around in some like fucking titanium ball or something that was like impenetrable. Fucking thing, and you know, like, like good on you, man. Keep it up, yes.
I had to
You know,
sleep
like,
somewhere different for a while.
He danced and sang for them like,
Yeah.
at dinner time or something like that.
Dine with the captain. Yeah.
So it got out that one of the topics on these handwritten notes that are of utmost importance that no one else can read, that once a month the Prime Minister must read these in private and take them into consideration, fucking shit about the migration of salmon.
What?
And shit in there, like talking about, you know, like depleting numbers of salmon in a particular area that would be, you know, and how it would affect like the fisheries, like, you know, or something like that. You know, like this guy is one person like in the whole world that has enough money and power that he's able to pass on whatever information he wants privately and as a requirement to the leader of an entire nation. And his perspective on life is so skewed that he thinks that it's important to use that time to bring up the significance of depleting numbers in the migration of salmon. And this guy and his children and their children's children will never, ever, ever have to experience anything outside of that.
Dude, the feeling you've had the feeling. I know you've had the feeling of living in a place and you know the lease is coming up, or you know that you might not have the place soon and you might have to move, or just kind of like being in a situation where at the time you don't have enough money for the rest of the week or to pay rent or to whatever, and you know you've just got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to just get up and either take up the courage to, ask for a loan off a friend or family member,
Yeah.
or, work if you've got work on,
Mm-hmm.
find a new job, whatever it is, like, or sell some stuff,
Mm-hmm.
That feeling is, oh shit, like it's kind of it's not a good feeling, but it makes you feel alive.
Yeah.
Makes you know you have to get up that next morning.
Yeah, like, so how often do you go to bed trying to solve some mental arithmetic in your head in which you're able to go, how can I get more money to fix this particular problem that I'm worried about right now, compared to Prince Charles? How many nights do you think he goes to sleep worrying about something that's coming up tomorrow?
Yeah. So all he really cares about is stuff that he's interested in, I guess.
Like salmon.
Salmon.
I'm interested in salmon fishing.
Mm.
I've also heard that the migration numbers are low this year. I must bring that up at the next my next post-it in my post-it night.
It's weird, isn't it? It's like what was I gonna say?
It's like they're a bunch of cunts.
Well, it's like just how you don't. Oh, that's right. It's like I saw Donald Trump's speech. Like, what a joke.
Yeah.
But then I thought, okay, maybe he's going to be the next president. I hope he's not.
I bet he is.
Oh, it would be like that guy, the other fat guy here who was in the Palmer party. What was his name? And he's just a big guy, and he just walks around he's a mining guy, and he just had enough money to become a contender.
Yeah. I can't
Palmer
remember.
United.
Okay.
Clive Palmer.
Palmer, yeah.
And he says outrageous stuff all the time.
Yeah. Because he can.
Because he doesn't have a...
I have a lot of money, therefore I'm a man of influence.
Yeah, therefore he can and that's such a funny thing, like, politics isn't screwed at all.
People
Yet
listen
someone
to me
can,
because I can make more choices than them.
yeah, so I can give them a magic thing that allows them to go and be pampered for the rest of their life if they just do this one thing for me.
Yeah.
That's why, like, integrity's huge, man. Like, one thing I found out about working full time is just like that most big organizations tend to just have these intervening levels of weirdness and bigotry and possible corruption, and and you just go, wow, like, being on the bottom is kind of like the most noble. And I don't know if I could do those things to people to get further up. I don't know if I could compromise myself in that way.
I don't know if I could smooth that over in my own mind.
No, like, I would think about it, if I'd intentionally driven someone out of a job or something, like, because HR or whatever.
I would like to think that I would constantly be haunted by thinking about, like, I wonder if they're alright at the moment.
And how can you, like, do some people just not, they put it out of their head, or they don't actually feel it in the first place?
Do you know what? I guess if you look at it in a big picture, we actually do that every day. We go to sleep with the knowledge. We go to sleep without even often considering, no matter how good a person you are, unless you're somehow being constantly reminded in your day-to-day life of this particular, of whatever scenario. There's fucking millions of them. We go to bed at night knowing that there are people right now, while you're laying there going to bed, thinking like, fuck man, like, I might have to sell my PS4.
Yeah.
And being like, yeah, but I really don't want to. Like, I'm not playing a lot of games at the moment, but like, it'd be really bummed if I had to sell it because, like, more games are going to come out. I'm going to want to play them, and like, even the fact that I'm considering that, and like, that's what I'm spending my time considering. While in my subconscious, somewhere in my memory, I'm completely aware of the fact that I have come across the information that lets me know that there are, fucking humongous quantities of people right as I'm laying there wondering whether, going through the perils of trying to decipher whether I'm going to have to sell an entertainment system or not, while there's other people screaming out in hungerous agony, and I'm worried about my fucking PlayStation.
Yeah.
And I like to peg myself as a fucking empathic, open-minded, think about the little guy person, and there I am in bed, fucking stressing out about whether I'm going to hock the PlayStation or not.
You know what? On one level, that makes sense because it's your escape, possibly, from the pain that it causes you to see the horrible shit that goes on. So that's one reason, maybe. Maybe. That's what it is for me sometimes. When I get into a good game, I'm not worried about the dying children, and I'm not
It's
worried
all
about.
about stimulation. Some people use drugs, some people
Yeah.
play games, some people drink, some people make music, some people
Mhm.
fuck. Like whatever.
Some people just talk constantly about, crazy shit not crazy shit, but just always, and that goal towards more materialistic stuff, to always get the better TV, the better. It's always gives you a lot of, you have to do a lot of work to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And it also makes you not think about certain things, I guess, as much, because you're in this race with all these other people that you know.
Yeah.
A lot of times, a lot of people who've got some money have people who have more money that they're friends with,
Mm.
and they're always looking over the fence to what we could have,
Yeah.
rather than just...
That's what freaks me out about the concept of credit, right? Okay, so
Yeah.
the concept of credit. So not only does money, having a certain amount of money or being able to prove that you have an ongoing access to a particular amount of money, so being able to provide pay slips to get some sort of loan or something like that. They
Mhm.
want to see pay slips. They want to see that you've got a history of money coming in.
Mhm.
This I guess they have to try and be more careful about it now because of the whole global crash where they were giving money to people that they knew just didn't have enough money coming in to pay it back, and the
Mhm.
whole thing toppled over, right?
Mhm.
And I guess in that sense, now that I've just mentioned that, answers my question, but I think my question is still valid, and I still
Yeah.
want to say it.
Yeah.
I'm still saying it.
I'll still bloody
You
listen.
can fucking chop it and put it after. Like you can chop it for later.
I'm gonna chopper with the weather here.
So we said that having money is having a quantity of choices that you can make. I've got $500. I've got 500 different opportunities to make decisions. Either 500 small decisions, 5 bigger decisions. One, the largest decision I can make is a $500 decision. Or
Mhm.
if I've got $500 coming in every month, I can go somewhere and say, look, I got $500 coming in every month. Can you give me $500 more today, and I will pay you that back over time, right? Now, if you're borrowing that from your friend, you're literally going to, or a friend or a family, you're saying, look, you've got $5,000, I've got $500, can you give me $500, and then I will give you that $500 back, and then it'll be like you didn't miss anything at all. You weren't using that $500 portion of your $5,000. You can, you can afford to let me have that for a bit. And by the time, hopefully I pay that back in a timely fashion. That means that you don't miss that $500 at all, right? So then you've got banks, large scale banks that have access to money, and then those banks access their money from the Federal Reserve Bank, which invent money.
Mhm.
They invent it.
Yeah.
They just go, we've printed some more. Here's some more.
Yeah.
There you go. And I don't know. Do they even print as much? I don't know if what the answer to this, but do they print as much money as exists in people's accounts? Is there as
No.
much actual money floating around
No way.
as the numbers that come up on people's
Nope.
screens? No.
I don't think so.
Just in the same way that money used to have to be connected to gold. So a paper money or a coin was a representation of an amount of gold that they had stockpiled somewhere at some point. That system is now gone. The Federal Reserve went, well, we could just fucking make it and give it to you, and then make you give it back with interest, even though we print it. So the interest you'd pay, you'd have to get from us to pay back to us anyway. So anyway, it's
They
just
get
a
all of
retarded
it.
system.
No, it's crazy, isn't it?
So these banks, these banks are getting, they'll get into trouble. Their balances will be low or whatever, and then they'll knock on the door of the Federal Reserve Bank. They go, can we have some more? And I say, sure, you can have some more. You can have some more. No worries. So the Federal Reserve, like, the more money they give you, the more control they have over you, right?
Yeah.
So meaning that, of course they're going to give you more. It doesn't mean anything to them. They're making it. They make the money. They don't matter. They could give you like 3 times more each time. It doesn't matter. They fucking keep writing zeros until you run out of paper.
Make it
just keep doing it.
Make it a $100 bill instead of a $10
If you
bill.
want it, they've got it to give it to you
Yeah.
because they're the ones making it, right?
Yeah.
So, which means that it's kind of like a waterfall. You have like the little stream and the bigger stream and the huge stream. And whatever. And sometimes the big stream starts big at the top, and when it gets to the end, it's got a little stream at the bottom. So you and me,
we go to our hole in the wall and we get the money out at the machine, and we're getting the little stream that's coming out at the bottom, which is attached to the big ass fucking endless stream, never going to stop stream up the top, right? That's the Federal Reserve Bank.
That someone literally drew on a piece of paper.
Yeah. So people get into these huge debts, right? Where they lose their house, they lose all their shit, they lose, they go bankrupt, they can't do this, you can't travel overseas, it literally restricts all activity that's attached to you. Any activity that you want to participate in, you are now on some form of restriction because, you've borrowed too much from our part of the waterfall that is, not as thick as the top, but you've borrowed too much from our particular one, and so we're gonna take the rest of the water that you've got. Even though it really doesn't make any fucking difference to anyone. What difference does it make to anybody? Like, if you owe a bank money, does that literally mean that someone, somewhere, in some way that works for that bank is not going to be able to eat?
Probably not.
Is it going to affect anybody's life on a personal level? Is it going to affect anybody, like on just a one person base? Is it going to affect one person in terms of the quality or the value to their life? Are you literally robbing from them? Are you hurting anybody?
I see. I don't know the answer to that question. I just tried to think about it.
And I guess some people could argue that, like, oh well, if all banks did that, then the banks would foreclose, and then they'd get taken over by the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve would take over that bank, or they go into like repossession, or whatever terms you use, liquidation, or something like that. And all the people at that bank would lose their jobs, right? Which is kind of what did happen. That's what happened in the financial crisis. All these people got into trouble, and the little people lost all their jobs, but the big people at the top that told all the little people to fucking sign loans over to whoever the fuck they want, whether they can afford it or not, they're the ones that lost their jobs. They were just literally filling out the forms that the people at the top of the waterfall filled out for them. But the people at the top of the waterfall are still getting their like Christmas bonuses and all their shit. They're still living their luxury life. So that there means that by not being able to afford to pay a bank back the money that they lent you irresponsibly, and that's the same sort of thing. It's almost a similar sort of argument of people saying like, you can't get mad at McDonald's because McDonald's don't force you to go there, but
they advertise it every day.
Yeah, even though they advertise it every day, even though more people know what the McDonald's arches mean than a crucifix.
Yeah.
But you can't get mad at McDonald's because they subliminally advertise people into going and eating there and being fat.
Make it so enticing and use only the bits like the fats, salts, and sugars are the three things that we instinctively want because they're the easiest to metabolize and stuff.
My thought on that is that you can. You can get mad at them. You can get mad at the bank person that made it possible to borrow money you're not supposed to borrow. You can get mad at the person, the people at McDonald's for, I guess they're trying to be more on top of it now. You've got to include what calories and stuff are with things, and then you've got to provide all the nutritional information of stuff. So, it still doesn't stop people getting fat at McDonald's,
No.
But, like, yes, you literally do. And this is also where you get into, like, the argument that stems on from this one, that people will usually get to a point because it will circle around and get bigger and bigger, and the scale of the argument will exponentially grow. But the point it will always come up to eventually at some point is that, well, now you're running a dictatorship, like, because I believe, like, what, you do actually have to sometimes just go, what? Now I know not everybody has been going too fucking hard at Macca's, right? You, Simon, you go, every couple of weeks, you enjoy your Big Mac, that's fine. You're still an athletic guy, you eat a balanced diet, that's great. You know what's in that Macca's food, it's a sometimes food. You've got to eat it in moderation, right? But you, fucking Jenny and Ryan and Jacob, fuck man, you guys have let the fuck go. Fuck man, didn't you read the shit? They printed it all out. It's all there. And so at some point it's like children and a society, I guess the overall identity of a collection of people that make a society. It's like a child, right? You've got to, just because just because I know my kid's not going to cross the road, or just because I assume my kid isn't going to cross the road without me, it doesn't mean that I would go walking with a stranger's kid and go, well, my kid's the same age as their kid. That, I'm not going to, tell them to stop or whatever. Like you do actually, unfortunately, live in a world where it's like, you know what, we just can't fucking have nice things because there's a bunch of people that are going to ruin it for everybody. But then the argument then goes on to, well, if you take freedoms away from people that are able to be responsible with them, are you then not just suppressing people's lives? So it's like, at what that's another thing that I wonder is that at what point, like at what balance, if there is one, is there a sort of acceptable spectrum or place on the spectrum to be on in terms of your ignorance?
Don't know. I had so many things I was thinking of saying.
That's why I fucking asked you.
Wasted all my fucking time though. Yeah, no, I had a few things I was thinking of as you were saying that, and when they would have been able to be expressed, you were in the middle of a really good, solid
I
nugget
just found out
point.
that my mother-in-law is going to have all three of my children this weekend,
Right.
and that's epic.
Yeah, wow.
Because I've got nothing to do this weekend except have a good time.
Freedom, Las Vegas. That's cool, man.
I also
Yeah,
have to go soon.
that's right. You bail whenever you want. I'll just keep rolling until you're literally, walking out the door.
10 minutes.
10 min. 10 min. I'll just put my timer on. We'll see if it can do the robot when it comes on. So 10 minutes. I reckon, hey, unexpected tea. Didn't even finish it, man.
Whoa. Actually, it's going to take me about 10 minutes to back up, so we might as well.
All right, then.
Might as well wrap up. But I think that little open-ended sillies at the end there is probably a nice segue to close on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Not really a segue at all, but,
These things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon that's a wrap, and
You might
thanks
be-
a lot for being.
You've got heaps of stuff that's useless that you need to take out to keep it interesting, or you've got a two-parter.
I've probably just got a two-parter.
Yeah.
Especially if I upload it soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks heaps for doing this with me and
worries.
being a good mate and being an inspiration.
Oh, cheers, mate. I feel true friendship with value is one where we inspire each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like happy for the other person to be doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm really glad that you're doing this.
Yeah.
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 You need to do this.
I do.
Okay, man.
I like to do this.
Yeah.
This is good.
I accidentally, when I said Alan Catman, right?
Yeah.
But just out of, because I've known you for a really long time, and Alan Cadman is a sequence of syllables that has been in my head for quite a while. So I knew I wanted to say Catman. I went to say naturally Cadman, but then did that thing where you half say both words.
Yeah.
I said Alan Cadman, right? Which I've now, just by accident, realised that is actually the perfect way to say your name.
As if you're going to say cat.
As if you're going to say
Cadman.
Cadman or Catman, but you change your mind halfway through saying it and say the other thing and end up saying Alan Cadman.
Cadman.
Alan Cadman. Yeah.
Camaraderie.
That is actually the correct phonetic pronunciation of your name now. It means that it doesn't matter which way you spell it.
Mm.
Yeah.
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 Cadman.
Yeah. Coined it.
Yeah, it's nice, man. I like it.
Sound bite.
Well, till next time.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. See ya.